All right, so I'm going to show you some tips and tricks related to our whiteboard that are critical for student achievement. First, we always have to zoom into 400% because this gives the most clarity to our writing. And you can tell what percentage you are by looking at the bottom left corner right there. I am 96% zoom capacity. So what I'm going to do is just pinch on my iPad, my tablet, and just zoom in all the way to 400%. And already you can see that my writing thickness is turned a lot nicer. So the second thing we have to do is talk about our pencil. Our pencil is here. If you just click this button, that gives you the pencil option, and you can see that you can change to a bunch of different colors. Changing colors is super critical for keeping your board really vibrant, and it keeps student attention as well as helps, you know, uh, allocate different things in your teaching, as we can see later. First of all, so if this, I'm just writing using a black pen, if that's one thickness, you can increase the thickness size of your pencil by adjusting that. So that's another thickness, and if I take it all the way, that's the highest thickness there is. If you want to erase, you can just click the pencil button, and then there's the erase option right here, and if you just touch it, it erases. If you touch it again, it erases, and then it erases there again. So I'm just going to click back to my pencil, put the thickness all the way to the bottom, and that's about it for the pencil. So here we go. Let's talk about some cool animations you could do on the spot. If I'm going to describe the structure of an electron to you, I'm going to change it to green and say this is a proton, this is a neutron, this is an orbital, and if I'm describing an electron, I'm going to say here is our electron. Normally, in person or on a regular whiteboard, you will say, just imagine that the electron goes around the nucleus. However, now what you can do is click this button. It's the pointer option right here, all the way on the top. And you can see that once you click here, you could select the electron that we just drew and just drag and drop it in different areas. And once you drag and drop it, like we're doing here, all you have to do is follow along this little orbital that we drew, and then click the undo feature. The undo feature is this little bottom arrow all the way on the bottom of the toolbar, 2 spots below the pencil option, and clicking undo just redoes every little drop you did for our electron, and then I'm just clicking redo to make it go back. So in this way, it's a little stop motion animation that we just created. If I click undo, it goes back this way, and if I click redo, it goes back this way. So now you can have a little animation to show your students that the electron is going around the nucleus. And that just helps solidify comprehension and gives you another layer to your teaching repertoire. Also, if we started talking about electrons, you can go a little bit more, or the nucleus, and just go like that. And if we wanted to change, for example, the color of, say, what we drew, the nucleus, I'm just clicking again the pointer option. I'm going to just drag all of this stuff and say, look at the little toolbar that appeared. If I want to change that color to blue, you can change it to blue. If you want to change it to purple, you can change it to purple, any color like that. Also, what this does is these little 3 dots right here all the way on the right give you some more options. If I wanted to duplicate this, you can duplicate it. If I want to flip it over, you can flip it over like that. So what that does, and notice I just zoomed out to give a whole picture, but I just don't want that, so I'm just going to click these 3 buttons again and delete that. But it's actually pretty cool in the sense that if I'm talking to you about a phospholipid bilayer, here are my phospholipids. these top things are my phosphates, so I'm just going to select those and change these to red, and I'm going to leave those hydrophobic tails as black, and then I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to move this down, and then I'm also going to, whoops, I'm going to flip it on its axis right here, and now I have my little bilayer. So as you can see, you have a bilayer. You have one layer here, and you also have one layer here, and that creates what? A bilayer. And notice what I was doing, I wasn't even using the eraser option in any of that. All I was doing was clicking mostly the undo button. And again, the undo button is right here. Undo. And with that undo button, you can create some really cool animations, but I'm just going to erase all of that stuff. So that's how to create animations and change the colors of different things, and using the highlighting option, which is that one, you can really add a whole bunch of layers to your depth to keep your lectures and your tutoring sessions super engaging and holding student attention, as well as increasing their engagement levels, which all in all helps solidify student achievement. Also, another really cool thing you can do, I'm just scrolling down using 2 fingers on the board. I'm going to zoom back in to 400%. And if you click this plus button right here, and click that button, and you want to insert a random picture. Say a student just asks you, hey, tell me about Euglena. If you click the plus button and you scroll all the way down, you can see there's a Google image search. You can click the Google image search and just type in Euglena. Type that in, click return, and now you have a whole bunch of Euglenas. I like this image, I click select, and now here goes my Euglena. I'm just going to move it down so it doesn't cover our bilayer. I'm going to resize it by just clicking that, making it a little smaller. Then notice our zoom percentage is at 146, so I'm just going to zoom back in to 400, but that's a little too big. So now I'm going to switch my color to yellow, and I'm going to say, look, here is the eye spot, here are some vacuoles over here, and annotating on images is amazing on this board. So that's how you drag and drop images straight in. Or I could have just opened up a new tab, Google searched it on my own, just in case something doesn't come up. Click image, and you can just save the image yourself and just go here and then click upload, and it will just go straight from your tablet's hard drive. So that's some pretty cool features. Also, if you want to make it really interactive and you want to say, hey, there's some food particle, and imagine this food particle goes into the mouth of the Euglena, and then it gets a little smaller, and then what happens around the food particle would be a vacuole to help the Euglena digest it, and then once it's digested, it just disappears. And then if you undo everything, you can show them how this process goes. So undo, here's a food particle, it goes into the Euglena, gets smaller, vacuole forms around it, and then digestion occurs. So just undoing things and keeping the colors super rich and not sticking to one particular color, again, is super critical. Also, another thing that's really critical is the text box. If you want to, actually no, let's save that for last. So the real-time board is pulled up on my tablet, but it's also pulled up on my computer. So what that allows me to do is dragging and dropping images or PDFs very easily. Because students usually either text us homework problems, test questions, or their documents, or they email the documents to us. So imagine if we have a document that a student sent to us and we want to go over it. It's a PDF. All I have to do is just drag the PDF from my desktop straight into the board, and as you can see, it's appeared just now. And then I just do that, I zoom out, and I want to make my PDF a little smaller, so I zoom out, I click my PDF, and I just drag it from the corners and I make it smaller, and now I want to go through my PDF. So if I'm flipping the pages, one thing to know is that here's page 2 of 18 and I'm just flipping through. However, if I'm on page 5, that does not flip the page for my student. So you always have to tell your student which page you are on. Make sure to keep that engagement high. Also, if I'm making an annotation, say on page 5, here's my little smiley face. If I make an annotation here, notice that this annotation does not stick to a particular page. It just follows us to whatever page we're at. So one thing you can do is say we're talking about question 5. You can either write question 5 over here and just keep all of the work down and just keep it all going down right here, or what you could do so that you're not always erasing material, because students always want to keep the material so that they can refer back to your guys' work together. What you can do is, say you solve question 5. When you solve question 5 and you keep all of the annotations here, what you can do is click the pointer option, click your document, see the 3 buttons over here. You just click these buttons and then click duplicate. Once you click duplicate, you can just slide it over here, and now you want to go to page 9 for some reason. I'm just going to skip a whole bunch of pages, and then the student was asking you now about question 31. So then once you solve question 31 and they want to ask you about another page, say they want to ask you about, I don't know, the last page, then you just flip all the way to the last page and you just do all the work here. Or actually, there's no work to be done there. So that's a couple of loop arounds. I personally like to just have all of my work done right next to my PDF. The only reason for that is it keeps it a little simple and there's just not too much clutter on my board, but it's whatever you prefer. Alright, so the last tool we got to talk about is this texting tool. This text tool is pretty interesting. Hi, I am using the text tool. However, as I am typing this, the student cannot see what you're typing until you click out of the text box. So it is important that if you're using this text tool to always click out of the text box to show and reveal to your student what you're actually typing. So generally we don't recommend heavy usage of this typing tool because of that feature, so we always recommend tutors to stick to writing things out. And that's the last step.